Hello, everybody. Always getting requests about, as a nutritional therapist, always getting questions on what do I actually eat. That's the main thing people will ask. Um, and it's one of those things that comes with doing this line of work is you have to be an example and kind of live your philosophy, as Paul Check would always talk about, who taught me a lot. And so I just want to go over super quickly today what, to be honest, at the moment is a very typical breakfast, and kind of outline the whys and hopefully give you some ideas. This takes me probably about a little bit less than 10 minutes to cook, and then I'll leisurely eat it for about 20 minutes over sort of checking some emails and stuff like that. A bit of a relaxed breakfast. For some people, that's not practical, and at another time we can talk about more practicalities of how to impact this into your life, and that at the end of the day is what ends up happening in a consultation. Is you're looking at, well, this is what we need to do, this is what your body requires to get you from where you are now to where you want to be, and what's your lifestyle like, and then the real nuts and bolts of nutrition is then work of consultation, and how it works is trying to get somebody to understand and weave through, well, how do you put that into practice in your life? So for me, this is a very typical breakfast, what I'm just about to tuck into. So the first component would be this, which today is lacking tomatoes, as there's none fresh locally. So I'm very lucky at the moment in the Canary Islands to be able to get hold of most of the fruit and veg is local. The downside is you can't. It's very difficult, for example, to get hold of spinach here. So I'd love to have a little bit of spinach in here. Essentially, what we've got here for protein in the main is 3 eggs. So they're kind of medium-sized eggs, large-ish. So they're probably giving you about 6 grams of protein each egg. So there's something around 18 grams of protein here, purely from the eggs. And then with all the other components here, there's some porridge, and in the avocados, I've got a little bit as well. I'm probably getting something towards maybe even 25 grams of protein from this meal. That, of course, will vary depending on how things are raised, etc., etc. So it could be up or down a little bit from there, but it's in that sort of ballpark. The next major component is avocados. So avocados are a good source of good fats. And one of the difficult things with fats is knowing how much you need, because fats are very calorific. So if you have too many fats, you're going to gain weight, and it's simple as that. You're gaining weight or losing weight is as simple as calories in, calories out. That's just an incredibly complex equation. But if you're, in terms of how your metabolisms can go up and down, and how different foods affect your metabolism, how different lifestyle factors, how different things going on inside your own body, your psychology, there's lots of things. But it is as simple as calories in, calories out. It's just a very complex equation. So with fats, as a man, it's quite easy to know if you're getting enough fat, because you'll tend to wake up in the morning. You should wake up with at least some level of, we call it morning wood often to clients, but some level of erection. Like at the very least, a semi would expect, something like that. And if not, you're probably a little bit short on fats. And this isn't going to be true for everybody, but it's a general rule. If you are potentially, well, you might be showing some symptoms of low testosterone, then you may increasing your fats is a good way to see if things respond there. Obviously, the best thing to do is get tested, which is a topic for another day. But so for me personally, this is something you kind of learn by trial and error. For me, really, ideally, I need a good sized avocado. If I get olive oil in with sort of as part of some other meals in terms of as a part of a dressing, or just on top of stuff, and then a good kind of 50 to 100 grams of nuts later in the day. That for me tends to be about right. But I'm quite active, 80 to 85 kilos. Sort of at the moment I'll be surfing 2 to 3 hours a day. So I kind of probably require more than most, and a lot of clients can get by on a lot less than that. So something to bear in mind. The other thing I've got in here is, so normally I would have some little tomatoes, but there's none there unfortunately. But I have got some bit of onion in there as well for a bit of flavour, and then paprika and cayenne. And this is really important because digestion starts in the brain. and if you enjoy your food, you'll digest it better. There's some research which needs to be repeated, and I couldn't lead you to the exact papers, but it comes from a good source. I'm sure it could be hunted down, which suggests you'll get more out of your food when you enjoy it. And the original research supposedly was conducted looking at Swedish people and comparing how they responded to meatballs versus a curry dish, I believe. And there was, in theory, something like 80% more absorption of minerals on the study from those that enjoyed the food versus those that didn't. Not looking at particularly one food being more enjoyed than the other. But I have to go back and look at it. I've never looked at that original research. It's just something I've been told. So I believe that to be the case. But certainly from a physiology standpoint, it makes sense because as soon as you look at something you really enjoy, like me looking at this now, I'm starting to salivate. And that's my body preparing to digest it. When people are having egg white omelettes, you're not hungry. You look at that, you don't want to eat it. Your body's not getting ready to digest it. You're not going to get as much out of it. So it's important to make your food enjoyable and to add little elements where you can so that you're excited by it. Like good food, good nutrition, living kind of a healthy life that allows you to do what you want to do should be pretty enjoyable. It might take a level of discipline and other aspects, but it should be something you enjoy. And then the other aspect I have here is porridge. So this is just porridge oats cooked in water, which used to be my staple. So typical for me when I found I needed more carbohydrate was just have porridge made with water. And then when I introduced it to other people who I was either like staying with or friends, they said it was the most disgusting thing they'd ever tasted. So I began to try and improve it. And one variation I do when I'm in England is to add chia seeds and cocoa nibs to it, which obviously the chia seeds give you omega-3s, which is a really, really nice addition if you can get hold of those. I can't get them here. And cocoa nibs, again, add a small amount of minerals, quite small, but it adds a really nice texture and adds a lot to it, and then a little bit of a cocoa-y flavour, which is quite nice. So I'd highly recommend adding that as well. And then on top of this, got a little bit of honey and a banana. So banana's great because you're getting one of your fruit and veg in of the day. And so in total here with banana, the avocado, and the onion, we've got 3 in quite easily. And we could, if we had the tomatoes there, I'm missing those tomatoes. They're delicious in this. Then you're doing really well and getting in 4 in breakfast. And it's not a chore. It's just tasty. So in total, the reason for the porridge is carbohydrate is the main reason, and you need energy. So some of us do need this much. Some people will not need this at all, and it really just see how you go. Some people do. And this is one of the trial and error aspects of diet. And also you'll notice, depending on your activity levels, some days you'll need more, some days you need less. And it's a learning process, it's a trial and error process. And this is one of the things that when you're working with a client, so initially it's very much nuts and bolts and kind of understanding what you do and don't need. But then over time it comes a little bit of reinforcement and kind of going into a bit more detail on points, but then also kind of fine-tuning things depending on the lifestyle and how to get things in tastier ways, things that work for you, things that don't work for you. But with the porridge, the biggest time I've noticed this is if I don't have porridge in the morning. One particular day, as a friend of mine was staying with me, and just never normally buy chocolate, but walking around a supermarket that day, hadn't had porridge in the morning, just put chocolate in the trolley, which I'd never normally do, and it's just one of those subconscious things. And then got in the car, started eating the chocolate, and so I suddenly kind of became conscious of the situation. I was like, why am I eating chocolate? And looked back and we didn't have any porridge in the morning. And it's a really simple example. I mean, I'm very much of a kind of biomedical mind, in that when our body needs energy, and so if we've had our normal stuff, also if our body's used to a certain level of energy, and then going round, the brain sees chocolate, needs carbohydrate, that's a great quick way for me to get some energy, boom, let's take that. It's a very subconscious process. And we are we are animals. So I think that's the explanation. So I always tend to get make sure I get sufficient carbohydrate, particularly at breakfast. For me, works well, and this will vary for different people. For other people, this would be like way too much food. I'm not saying everybody needs to eat like this. This is just what works well for me at the moment. I'm 100% certain that will change at some point in the future. With the porridge, add cinnamon because that helps it helps with the process of blood sugar handling, and a lot of the research will show that cinnamon's quite useful for diabetics to this end as well. But in general, for most of us, if we're having something sweeter, adding cinnamon to it tends to lead to an improved blood sugar handling process for that. So it's definitely something to consider if you're having something sweeter. A little bit of cinnamon. If you don't like the taste and you think it's going to ruin it, then don't have it, because it probably will cause you more negative net in terms of you're not enjoying your food and not digest it as well. But see how you go with that. And then in total here, I've got like a decent size spoon of honey, something about like 70, 80 grams of porridge. Porridge is about 60% carbohydrate, so, and the honeys, that'll be about 10 grams of honey in a good sized spoon. So that's 80% carbohydrate, so we're looking at about 8 grams plus something in the neighbourhood of 50. So there's around 60 grams of carbohydrate here for me. And I'll probably get a similar amount of carbohydrate in with lunch and dinner normally. So something around that suits me good as an 80 kilo male who's kind of doing about sort of 2 to 3 hours of surfing's fairly light exercise each day. So I wouldn't see that to give you a rough idea. And then on top of this, there'll be a coffee that will be made afterwards. Benefits coffee, particularly my area of expertise is more around inflammation and the research I've done, and so it does reduce the level of inflammation in the body up to about 4 units a day, so something like 4 teaspoons of coffee, and it's pretty good. And I probably do have, I do have my 4, but that's in terms of long-term effects in caffeine consumption, there are pros and cons there. So hopefully that's a good quick overview of one breakfast option. I might give you a little bit of information on understanding food and what might be a useful way of getting different foods in. And any questions, any video ideas, anything you'd like to know, let me know. Thanks.